Here sprouted the first seedling of Argoth. Here the last tree will fall. Gamelin, Citadel Elder. Flavor text of Gaia's Cradle. As the conflict between Urza and Mishra dragged on, their war saw the lands around them slowly drained of natural resources. The earth was plundered for metals, and the forests were cut down for lumber. The Brothers' War did not merely have grievous casualties, it also left Terisier barren. Decades passed, and while the war showed no signs of stopping, the need for new resources was slowing down the factories of both sides. Urza and Mishra both were in desperate need of new supplies if either wanted to continue their war against one another. As chance would have it, a vast wealth of resources would soon be discovered. Harbin, the son of Urza and Kayla, was flying in an ornithopter over the seas off the coast of Terisier when he was suddenly beset by a storm. Despite his skills as a pilot, Harbin was unable to evade the tempest, as the storm seemed to have a will of its own. Harbin crash-landed on an island previously unknown of on the mainland, one covered almost completely in a vast, magnificent forest. After repairing his ornithopter, Harbin took to the skies and returned home, reporting his discovery to his father, Urza. It did not take long for an expedition to be mounted to the island. Led by Harbin, this force had the goal of securing the resources on an island that seemed to be uninhabited. Only, the island was not uninhabited. Almost as soon as Harbin returned to the island, he was greeted by a host of elves and pixies, forest folk that seemed both eloquent and well-armed. Harbin was escorted to Citadel, where the court of Titania was held. Here he learned much about the island, which was known as Argoth. He learned of the elves and pixies and centaurs and men that lived there. He learned that it had long been a refuge for those who seeked to escape the tyranny of metal. He learned of Titania, the Morrow sorcerer who ruled the forest and spoke on behalf of Gaia, the nature goddess and mother of all things. And most importantly, he learned that he and his people were not welcome on Argoth. Harbin attempted to plead with Titania, asking the ruler of Argoth to grant access to her lumber and the metals beneath the forest. Titania, in turn, rebuked him, knowing well the devastation that the Brothers' War had caused not just to each side, but their allies as well. Titania then revealed that Mishra's forces had also landed on the island, and that she fully intended to fight both brothers. She insisted once more that Harbin leave, before displaying the powers of her followers in destroying several of his machines. Neither Urza nor Mishra's forces departed Argoth, and the brothers themselves made their way to the island. And while workers and engineers from both armies worked on harnessing resources from the forest, they also became locked, yet again, in a seemingly unbreakable stalemate, though this time the brothers found themselves battling not only one another, but Titania's forces as well. Titania proved to be a vicious opponent, wielding the full might of Argoth as its morrow sorcerer. She drew her power from the forest, and with its might was able to deal crushing blows against both brothers. Unfortunately, however, as time went on and more of Argoth's tree line was destroyed, Titania's might began to dwindle. Regardless, she did not stop her efforts to repel these invaders, these two tyrants of metal. Even as the forests were plundered, and Titania felt herself weaken day by day, she continued to fight against the brothers until the final day of the invasion. Even then, she planned an assault against the brothers, an assault that never came. This day saw the war end in a flash of light when Urza activated the Golgothian Silex, destroying Mishra, Titania, and the very island of Argoth itself. Argoth died at last. Those survivors in the land only had a moment to react to the great flash of light on the horizon, when suddenly it was on top of them. The surviving trees ignited where they stood, blown down by the wind, their stumps uprooted by the undulating earth as ground slid beneath the sea, and new earth shot up from the force of the explosion. Gaia screamed as the circle of destruction widened. Throughout the centuries, Argoth had served as a haven for those seeking to escape the destruction of Artifice. This great forest was a place of life and beauty, and it all came to an end with the activation of the Silex. The island of Argoth first appeared chronologically during the events of the Thran. In this novel, the elves of Argoth suffered greatly at the hands of Yawgmoth, who fabricated a plague which devastated the populace. As a result, Argoth would be one of the nations that allied with the Thran against Yawgmoth, and fought him bitterly until his exile. In the millennia since, Argoth served as a refuge, one which was hidden from the rest of the world by its magical storms. During the events of the Brothers' War novel, this island is rediscovered and, not long after, destroyed and consumed by the ocean. There are many cards representing both the inhabitants of Argoth and the island itself. Some notable examples include the Citadel Hierophants, Titania, Protector of Argoth, as well as the legendary land, Gaia's Cradle. Argoth was destroyed thousands of years ago, so with the exception of sets like the Brothers' War, which take us back in time to glimpse the past, it's highly unlikely that we'll be returning to this island anytime soon. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, then please like, share, and subscribe, because otherwise I won't get to eat food tonight. If you want to support me directly, then head on over to Patreon, where my patrons get early access to all of my lore videos. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.